Hello! So I have just unboxed my Maxxair Fan and I just wanted to show you what that comes with, and I'll explain that in a minute. So what we have is obviously the fan itself, okay? The box it came in. This is going to be the main thing that we're working with today, cutting the hole into which this will slide, onto which that will mount. And then this bit, ultimately, this has got a giant flange on it. But what will happen is when I've mounted my ceiling, so later on, basically, I'm going to know the distance between there and, you know, the underside of this, and then this is going to get cut. But I'm not going to show you that because I haven't built my ceiling yet, okay? And of course, there's my remote control, which I'm going to use when it's active. Instructions that I'm such a good girl with now and I read last night. And mounting equipment, okay? So that's what we started with from Maxxair Fan itself. Next, I'm going to show you the tools we're going to need for today's project. Hi, I'm Candace. I'm a lover of mountains and meditation and have decided to minimize my life, buy a Sprinter van and convert it into a tiny home on wheels. Having a background in interior design, I'm going to give you my tips, views and experience on design and how to project manage your conversion whilst being a total novice at doing the actual build. Okay, so for today's project, which is mounting the Maxxair Fan on my roof, this is what we need. And I am trying something different this time for a couple of reasons, because of this neuropathy issue with my hands, and because my neighbor showed me how to work with an angle grinder. I'm going to actually cut today with the angle grinder. We believe it's going to be easier to do that, and so that's what that's for. We're also going to need a drill and drill bits. This has one in it, and then I have extra drill bits, which I'll show you what we're going to do with later. And then on top of that, always have my gloves, always have eye protection. Today, I'm going to wear sound protection too, because it was loud. You cut into a metal box, it's really loud, and that's not good for your hearing. So that's what those are for. So I've also got the flap disc, it's called, for the angle grinder, and the bit that gets things on and off, and that's going to be to smooth the edges off, okay? Then I always have a Phillips head screwdriver because you always need it for something. I've also got a metal file, okay, a Sharpie, just a plain paintbrush, which is going to be getting the metal off the roof. I have Rustoleum, okay, and a paintbrush, okay. I always have box cutters with me too. I'm going to need that because what we're going to be working with is lots of butyl tape again. This is a really thick butyl tape, and when you get on the roof you'll see why I'm using that. And then this is a thinner white butyl tape. We're going to use both of those. I also always have tape with me. Today I'm going to wear a mask. I wear a mask as much as anything to protect myself from metal filings. And then we've got lap sealant and a caulking gun. Okay, this is white lap sealant by Decor products, and this is a caulking gun. And as per usual, I'm going to link all of these things below so that you can get them too. It will help you with your own project. Now, the last important piece here today is actually this. This is a template that I have made. It is out of the cardboard that came out of the box. And as an aside, never throw away your boxes with all these things that are being delivered, because you're going to be able to use them for templates and for all sorts of things. I just don't throw those things away whilst I'm in construction, okay? So this is a 14 by 14 inch square. On one side, I have put the diagonals on with a center. On the other side, I've got it with a cross marked through the center. And again, I'll show you how that's going to play out when we get into the van and onto the van. So that's my kit for today. And next I just want to show you something inside the van about how I've laid out or marked out the space on the inside. And then we'll get up on the roof and we will start installing. Hey, so I'm inside the van, and what I wanted to talk to you about a bit first before we install the Maxxair Fan is how to lay out the ceiling plan, it's called, or it's often called the reflected ceiling plan, but it's the ceiling plan on your van. And you need to do this very carefully and slowly before you're ready to cut the holes. You cut these holes, you don't want to move them, you can't without, having to re-weld things. That's stating the obvious, okay? So what do you need to know? So you need to know what's going on your roof, okay? So what's going on my roof is the roof rails, which we installed the other day, a roof rack, a low profile roof rack. I have 3 100-watt solar panels that I know the dimensions of exactly. I have the Maxxair Fan, and I have a Dometic Heki skylight. You need to know the precise cutout dimensions for the Maxxair Fan and the skylight, and how much it overlaps on your roof, okay, before you map this stuff out. So let me show you what I mean. So what I'm going to do, and I should provide you a little sketch to show you what we're talking about here. So we're going to look up here at the moment. All of these ribs across your roof of your van, to just be super obvious, you do not cut them, ever. They are like the roof joists or the ceiling joists, or kind of like rafters too, and you do not cut them. They are holding your roof up, okay? Now what that means is the real estate in which we can cut things is in between these. And what that really means is in between that rib and that rib, okay? All the way down, that's where you can cut holes. All right? So, how I've laid this out is this first rib. This is the front of my van, okay? This is the front. This is the first rib. And I happen to know that right there is the front of my roof rack. And what that means is I have calculated 20 inches and a little bit of a gap for my first solar panel. It will go on top of that, okay? And then what I've got here is I have got the position of the Maxxair Fan, okay? That is a 14 by 14 inch piece of blue taping, central on the van, which is where I want it. I've allowed for a little overhang. Now with these, there's a big flange at the back. And that other blue line is the extent of the flange, and you must calculate for that. So that's the hole, but on top the flange will finish there. And what that means is after that I can mount my next 2 solar panels, okay, which is going to there, and then right to the edge of this line here, which is going to be the Dometic Heki skylight. Now here I've mapped out in the center at the back, again in between some of these ribs, is the lines in the middle are the 15 3/4 inch square for the skylight, and then the lines around the outside are what the overhang will be on top of my roof. You need to know that because that's going to overhang, or it's going to meet where the edge of the skylight will go. So as you can see, my roof space is going to be packed. And then around here, if I'm super brave or stupid or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to build a little tiny deck. So let me see if you can see all that from back here. So this is the very back. That's going to be the skylight, 2 horizontally laid solar panels, and then there's the Maxxair Fan, and then 1 solar panel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got my template here. Yep, there's my template, and with a 7 inch by 7 inch cross cut there, I'm going to place that here. Okay, that's it marked out now. Next thing I'm going to do is drill holes at the corner.
I feel the sunshine.
And this is just a little plastic pocket I've created inside to catch the metal filings when I'm on the roof in a minute. See you out there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we get our template again. I'm on top of the roof, obviously, and we're going to Sharpie mark from the holes that we drilled. You can see holes here, and here, and here, and here. I'm going to Sharpie mark the actual template to be cut. See here, I'm just making sure this would fit inside what I'm about to cut. Yep. It will. Very good. Okay, we have a change of plans. I didn't like using the grinder, so we're going back to this. Here we go. Ta-da! We have it. It's off. Now, you see our little hole. Before I do anything else, I'm going to check that this fits. It does. It fits. So anything else I'm doing is just tidying up at this point. At this point, I'm just going to be painting Rustoleum on here. Okay, so the next thing I'm about to do is I'm about to install this flange onto the roof, which involves butyl tape and screwing, pretty much. So that's what we're doing next. Okay, so I am marking the holes at this point, making sure it's really centered. Okay, there we have my pilot holes, and unfortunately I was silly and I removed my protection underneath too early, but live and learn, live and learn. Okay, we have that prepped. The next thing I'm going to do, you've probably noticed I've got a little ridge here. And that means that I'm going to have to fill this in a bit. Now, one thing with this particular flange is you need to make sure these little brackets here are on the sides and not the front and back. Something to know. Now what we're going to have here is I'm going to need to build up the butyl tape along this front edge and down this side a little bit. So here we go. as this is your safety and your you know, waterproofing we're talking about here. So I'm ready. This is my little trusty thing of my nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep. Remember these cleats on each side to the side, and I can't see the holes of course at the moment. We need to push this hard up in that direction and center it. Yep. Before I start to creep down into the holes underneath. Let's do this one first. I'm going to suggest that you move from side to side with this, that you don't just do one edge. And I'm not tightening it too tight at this point. I'm just doing the 4 edges at the moment. You can kind of feel it, feel for the holes that I've pre-drilled. This side I can see it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do before I proceed is I'm going to drop this whole fan into there to make sure that it's square. Happy. Yep. Here we go. Yep, that's what we want. We want it to sit right in there. And it feels pretty happy there, so let's proceed. So here goes the Dicor lap sealant. Yep. Recommended by RV specialists. Okay. So I'm actually going to fill this gap a little bit first, and then I'm going to go around these edges, right? And then we're going to fit the fan in to these side pieces here. Let's do this first. Here we go. Now it's flowing. A little bit around these edges. Under there. Very sealed. Flange at this point. It's not meant to look super pretty. Hello. I know you've just been looking at a hole this last bit. So that is something I just need to check. I don't know how long it takes for that to dry. And so I'm going to wait for a bit for that to dry before I seal, try to screw in the fan. Bye for now.